Hi guys, welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome guys. I will give everyone another maybe 3 minutes to join and then we're gonna start. In the meantime, just make sure you have your supplies ready. And I will talk to you about exactly what we need again in a minute as well. I just want to give everyone a couple more minutes to join us first, and then we'll go through all the supplies that we will need and how we're going to do it and all the other details as well. Oh, hi. I love seeing all the locations where you guys are from. This is pretty awesome. It looks like we're all over the world, which is amazing. All right, guys. Just one more minute and then we're going to start and we'll move to our supplies and everything else. All right, it's 6:03, so let's start rolling and hopefully if someone else is missing still, they will join us shortly. Welcome guys, my name is Vera. I'll be your instructor for today. And this is what we're gonna be painting. We're gonna be painting our Santa Gnome. He is adorable. Now guys, I'm gonna be using this particular colors. I will recreate it exactly as I originally made it. But if you wanna change your colors, let's say you wanna experiment with the head color or the suit color or the leg color or those purple circles on a background, you're more than welcome to. You can use your own colors. You don't have to stick with the exact same colors that I'm using, but also you're welcome to do the same thing as well. Let's quickly go through our supplies to make sure we have everything that we need for today. So we will start with canvas. So make sure you have a canvas. I will be using the exact same size that I originally made it on. This was made on 12 by 16 inch canvas. So I will be using the exact same size, which is 12 by 16 inch canvas. Doesn't mean you have to use the same size though. You're welcome to use absolutely any size that you have. Bigger, smaller, doesn't matter. It will still look fantastic. Just make sure you adjust the size of your brushes. So basically, if you're using larger canvas, you may want to go with slightly larger brushes. And the same if you're using smaller canvas, you may want to go with slightly smaller brushes. So for me personally, I'm going to be using 3 different brushes. This is, I would say, about medium large. I can't really say that this is large because it's not, but it's the biggest one out of those that I will be using today. So I would say medium large. And for me, it's number 12, but I wouldn't really go by numbers because different brands have different numbers for different brushes and they don't always look the same. So don't really go by numbers. Grab something bigger. And what we're going to use it for is the background. So do you see there's a lot of background here? There's some red here, maybe some white. So large areas. Then I'm going to be using a medium small brush for smaller areas. So basically like that, or wherever appropriate, really, we'll get there. So something bigger, something medium, and something small. So this is a very important brush. That's what we're definitely going to need today. It's a medium small brush. And this brush, you need to have a nice pointy tip. Again, the number doesn't matter, but if you have a nice large set of brushes, the best brush would be number 0 or number 1. So grab that, make sure it has a pointy tip, because we do have a lot of fine details on this painting that we're going to do specifically with a small brush. So if you have it, that would be awesome. So that's my brushes. And we're going to start with pencil and eraser because we're going to start with a sketch. So grab a pencil and eraser if you have it. If you don't have a pencil and eraser, then you can definitely use small brush and light gray paint to sketch instead of pencil and eraser. Just use as light of a color as you can. But of course, ideally you want to have a pencil and eraser because then it's just easier to fix any mistakes that you may potentially make. So if you can, pencil eraser. If not, you're going to use small brush and light gray paint, which is just black and white. And now, as far as paint, I'm using primary colors as we always do. We always use primary colors only. And the reason why is actually 2 reasons. Reason number 1, we don't want you guys to have to buy 100 million tubes of paint for every single color every single time. It gets really expensive. So we're trying to keep it very simple. As long as you have primaries, you can do all of our paintings, each and single one. That's all you need, just primary colors. This is a student grade acrylic paint for those who are wondering. Yeah, and the colors I will be using is yellow, red, blue, plus black and white. Now let's talk about particulars of our colors. Does it matter which blue you have? For this painting, does not matter at all. Does it matter which red you have? For this painting, it does. So red, you want to have something more on a pinker side. So you want to have red with a pinker undertone, such as magenta-based red, or something similar to that. In my case, it's just primary red / bright red, but it does have that pinker undertone. If you water it down, it almost looks like a hot pink, as you can see here. And the reason why we need a specific red like that, and we shouldn't be using red that has yellowy or orange undertone, is because we're going to be using it for mixing purple. As you can see, I don't have purple pre-mixed. I'll be making mine. And only pink-based red will give you a good purple. If your red has a little bit of yellow premix into it, and it looks more like a fire truck red versus a magenta-based red, or like a raspberry red, so if it has that orangey tone to it, it's not going to give you good purple, unfortunately, because it already has a bit of yellow premixed into it. Your purple is just going to be a little more dull. If that is the case for you, then just grab a premixed purple. You can still use your wonderful bright fire truck red for your gnome, but just make sure you have premixed purple then for the background. Again, in my case, I don't have it. I'm going to be mixing mine, and that's why I have the red that I have. All right, yes, and the second reason why we only use primary colors is because we want you guys to learn how to mix them. That's a great and very helpful skill in painting, is to know how to mix every single color. And we always show you how to mix colors from scratch, from just basics. So that's exactly why we want to do it this way. All right, so that's all our supplies. Hopefully you have everything that we need. Oh, hi. And for those of you who are first timers, and maybe this is your first painting with us, and you're not sure how YouTube Live works, is that the video is going to be recorded. It started recording as soon as this event started. And as soon as we finish, it's going to stay right here on YouTube It's not going anywhere. So let's say you have to go somewhere halfway through and you can't finish the painting. You can always come back. The link is going to stay on our Facebook page and it's literally going to stay on our YouTube channel. So just come back and you can watch it anytime. And I also know some people actually prefer to just hang out with us while we are live and then paint later from the recording. And the reason why is from the recording, you're actually able to pause the video and give yourself as much time as you want for every step. And we know some people like taking it slower than others. Some people are faster, and it's normal. So if that's you and you really like to take your time and go at a slower pace, you might want to hang out with us right now and then paint from the recording once it's done, because you're going to be able to pause the video. And even as we are live right now, what you could do actually, even though you can't pause it while we're live, you can rewind and scroll back and rewatch sections of this video, even as we're live. So if that's something you want to do at any point, if you want to take a look again at some particular step or something we did before, you can always scroll back to the beginning of the video or any part of this video and rewatch that section again. And another thing, guys, if I get a lot of questions that are the same, I will answer them every now and then, but I just apologize in advance. I wouldn't be answering the same question over and over and over again every minute, just out of respect for everyone who joined at the beginning of this video. So you don't have to hear me say every 2 minutes what colors we use or whether the video is going to be available after the event, and so on. But I will be answering those questions every now and then for those people who will be joining throughout the session. All right, so that's pretty much it. Feel free to ask any questions that you may have in chat. If comments get really crazy fast, I may or may not be able to answer all the questions, but I'll do my best, I promise. All right, so for now, I'm gonna put away my paint. We don't need it just yet. So let's put that away. Oh, and by the way, guys, you're gonna need a water. Clearly, we can't paint without water. And of course, a paper towel or something to dab your brush off on. So whatever that may be. If you have reusable fabric cloth, even better. So, okay, let's put our brushes away. Let's put our paint away for now. And what are we gonna do? We're gonna grab our pencils, if you have them. If not, grab small brush and light gray paint. Just grab some white, grab some black, mix them up, use that paint. And we're gonna start sketching. So what I'm gonna start sketching with is a nose, just because it's so conveniently positioned right in the middle of our canvas. So somewhere right in the middle of our canvas, I'm gonna add a little oval, and that would be our nose. So nice oval nose. After we have our wonderful, nice oval nose, we're gonna move to our mustache. And the mustache is just fabulous here. So I'm gonna start by putting one on one side. So I'm just generally gonna figure out the shape. I think something like this will work. Again, a wonderful, wonderful mustache. And then I'll try to copy that onto the opposite side. They don't have to be perfectly the same. That's definitely not the goal. If your first one is similar to your second one, but not the same, that's good. That's what we want. We want them to be somewhat of the same size, approximately the same shape, but it doesn't mean they have to be exactly the same. They absolutely don't have to. And then we're gonna add a beard. So for the beard, I'm gonna start around the same area where it starts, then it's gonna go out, then it's gonna go in, turn into a little swirly here, and then wrap around the other side. And I'll do this all darker. So here, 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 then turn into a little swirly. And guys, notice right now, the lines are straight, right? For beard and for mustache. In the end, the lines are not going to be straight. They're going to be very zigzaggy edge. Again, if you prefer to sketch it that way, you absolutely can. You can sketch it exactly like it should be in the end, like this zigzaggy. But also, you don't have to. We can do all this prettiness with a brush once we actually get to that step. For now, we just need approximate outline, knowing where everything is positioned. So it's not necessarily going to be a straight line in the outline. In fact, it would not be. So yeah, again, if it bothers your brain and you want it exactly like it's going to be in the end, then you're going to do more of a like zigzaggy outline versus straight. But if you don't mind straight line for now, then just keep the straight line. And after that, we're going to move to our hat. For our hat, what we're going to do is we're going to start with this beautiful fluffy rim in a way. So I'm going to add right here. Like a little cloud. All right, and then we're going to add the top of the hat, which actually looks like a Hershey's Kisses candy. So I'm going to start on this side. I'll do something like this. And then I'll do something similar on the other side. And the good part of starting with a pencil is that you can always erase the lines that you don't like, and you can finalize your sketch, and you can work on it until you're happy with it. You can still do the same with your paint. Let's say you started with your paint, you can still work on it multiple times and you can get rid of your lines. Just you're not going to be able to erase them. And here is our hat. And then last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add our arms, our legs, and our feet. So for that, I'm actually gonna start with feet. So there are two purple here and they're not really visible. Let me show you guys. They are there. You see right here. So somewhere on the sides, closer to the bottom of our beard, we're gonna add two circles. Then after that, we're gonna add a little line that connects it to the gnome. So that's gonna be for a leg, and a little line right here. That's for two of our legs. Yeah, that's true. The mustache is similar to angel wing. That's very true. And then we'll finish up with the arm. So it's just going to be a curved line on each side. So from the hat to where the leg starts. And here we go. We have our sketch. We did it. After that, we can put the pencil away. And I'll give you guys a couple more minutes for this, just to make sure you finalize the sketch and you're happy with it. If it didn't turn out just the way you like it from the first time, feel free to just erase whatever lines you're not happy with and redo them before we move to your painting part. Because once we move to your painting part, it's going to be very hard for us to actually change the shape. Yeah, so you want to finalize the shape right away. So I'll give you guys a minute to do that, and then we'll move to our painting. Any distance that you want. To answer your question, what distance should the beard be from the bottom? Completely up to you. As you can see, mine goes pretty low on both paintings. This one actually goes a little lower than this one, but really doesn't matter. It's up to you how much space you want to have left. All right, guys. And now we're gonna move to our painting part. So the first thing I wanna do is I'm gonna start adding layers of red. So I'm gonna add first layer on our hat and on our arms and on these little pieces on the legs. And the reason why I'm actually gonna be adding more than one layer of red. So that's why I wanna start there. So by the time, so we can add first layer, then we can go work on something else. And then when we come back, it's gonna be dry, so we can add second layer, and then we can add all the details. And the reason I wanna add more than one layer is because sometimes on a larger area such as hat, if you only add one layer of red, A, it's gonna be a little streaky. B, it may not be as vibrant as we would like it to be. Because sometimes bright colors require more than one color. And I want it to be perfect, so that's why I want to add 2 layers of color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my biggest brush that I have, really. But you use whichever brush seems the most appropriate and comfortable for you based on the size of your canvas. So I'm going to grab my red and I'm going to color in the first layer on my hat. And you see it's a little streaky, and that's okay. That's why we're doing more than one layer, because we know the first layer is not always the best. And I'm gonna add the first layer of red on my arms here and on the legs. And I'm gonna use whichever brush is the most appropriate for that. If you can manage medium brush, great. If not, use the small brush, whichever works. Because we all use in different sizes of canvas, so it's not a one brush works for everyone kind of deal. I will switch to medium small brush here too. And actually, as I go around my beard here, so let me show you a closer look. Do you remember I told you how this line is not going to be straight anymore. It's going to be more zigzaggy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add slight zigzagginess to it, like this. And the same thing on the other side. So you see I made it a bit more zigzaggy. And if you forgot, let's say, to do it and already colored it with flat line, that's not a problem at all. We will still have a lot of chances to turn it into a zigzaggy line. All right, and again, I'll give you guys a minute to do this, and then we'll move to our next step. To answer your questions, guys, why not the background first? Well, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, because background is going to have only one layer and this is going to have two layers. So for us to be able to get to two layers of red and have a proper covering, we need to start there first to let it dry. And only after that, we can move to background. Also, background is not the most important thing here. We have a lot of other areas that are going to be layered. Like, for example, even the beard, it's not going to be done in just one color. It's going to be layered in stages in multiple colors and multiple shades of color. The same with this part, the same with those parts, where the background as well is going to be layered in multiple stages. But yeah, after we sketched, I wouldn't go to the background first because I want to do this to let it dry. So this can start drying so we can add second layer. To answer your question, how do you keep your pencil sketch from showing through paint? I don't. My pencil sketch does show through paint, and that's perfectly normal because, again, we're going to be doing more than one layer, so in the end, you're not going to see it. At this stage, it will be showing through paint, and that's okay. Yeah, that's always a great idea, guys. I know a lot of people find it very helpful to just watch first and hang out with us first, and only then paint later. So yeah, always a good idea. And also, you could be doing other things while you're watching the first round, right? You could be cooking, um, doing whatever else you need to do, and watching this just so you know ahead what's to come and you're prepared for it. And then whenever you're ready, you can actually start painting it. All right, guys, and once you have this, now we can actually move to our black background. And again, you're gonna grab the biggest brush that you have. You're gonna grab some black, and we're gonna start coloring it up. Now I'm gonna start from the top, but really it doesn't matter where you start from. Wherever you start from, it's all good. So the only thing I want to talk to you about is this part, and we want to kind of make it zigzaggy too. So what I'm going to start with, I'm going to start by just outlining it a little. And then I'll grab my smaller brush. And with my smaller brush and some black, I'm going to flick from the outside in like this. Let me show you close up here what I'm talking about. So from the outside in. to make it a little fluffier. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect shape just yet. We'll get lots and lots more chances to figure out the shape. This is just the backdrop. We'll be adding more and more layers there, and actually lots more layers there. But we want to start right too. So guys, I'll cover everything and anything that I can with a large brush first. And then do you see there are spots like that that I can't really reach with this large brush? It's not the most comfortable brush for it. So I'll get back there later and I will finish that with a smaller brush. But first I'll do everything that I can with this brush. And when I get to beard, by the way, I'm gonna do that zigzaggy thing again. And you can do it with whichever brush seems the most comfortable for you. For me personally, because this brush can give me really fine lines if I use the top tip. As you can see, right, it can give me wide lines if I use the full width, or it can give me really fine lines if I use just the tip. So I can do zigzaggy line with the same brush, but if you can't, small brush is always a great choice. All right, I did what I could. for our large brush. So now I'm going to wash it off, dab it on a paper towel, put it aside. Always wash your brushes before moving to next brush because you don't want them to dry with paint. It will ruin your brushes. And now I'll go with my small brush and I'll finish up all those little spots that I wasn't able to reach with my medium large brush. All right, and here is my background. And again, I'll give you guys some time to do it, so no rush. And when you have it, give me thumbs up. When I see lots of thumbs ups, then we'll move to our next step. All right, I see a few thumbs ups, but not a lot just yet. So I can give you a bit more time for this. By the way, I see some comments that some people are using black canvases. If you're using black canvas, once we move to white sections such as beard and this part, you may need to add many layers of white first. So for us who are using white canvases, we're going to be using just one layer of white, and then we'll start blending colors right away. For those who are using black canvases, you're going to need to add first layer of white, let it dry. So you're not going to be able, I would say, finish it on Zoom. Oh, sorry, not on Zoom, on YouTube. At least I wouldn't suggest that. I would probably suggest putting first layer of white everywhere, letting it dry first, then second layer of white, and only then starting sketching all those and mixing in all those other colors. Just that way you will have more vibrant white in the end, unless your white is just crazy vibrant and it's super strong and it's super solid, in which case you can just do how I will be doing it with a white canvas. But yeah, if you're using just regular paint, I would probably suggest a couple layers of white first. Again, I see more thumbs up, but not yet. So not too many just yet. Knowing how many of you guys are watching and painting along, I'll wait a couple more minutes and then we'll move to our next part. To answer your question, we haven't done second coat for the red yet. Mine is not even fully dry yet, so no, not yet. All right, I see lots of thumbs ups now, so I think we can move to our next step. To answer your question, how many shades of black are there? Just one. Just one shade of black. So guys, what I want to do now is I want to work for a little bit on this white-ish part. But before I do that, I actually want to make my purple because I don't have pre-mixed purple. I'm gonna make it because I'll be needing it very, very shortly. So how do we make purple? You can use any brush for this, but I would probably suggest you using medium or medium large or medium small, just not the smallest one for sure. So I'm gonna start by taking some red on a side. I'll take a generous amount of red too because I'm gonna need a lot of purple. So do you see I'm taking some red on the side? Then to that red, and again, remember I mentioned that the red has to be on a pinker side, so pinker undertone. So if you have magenta or hot pink, you're welcome to use those instead. And then I'm gonna start adding blue little by little. So do you see I'm taking just a tiny touch of blue? Not equal parts. You don't need equal parts of blue. Blue is more dominant color. So always start adding little by little. I'll take a touch, I'll add it in, and you see it already turns into purple. And I will add some white to it as well. So again, not equal parts, less. just so I can see my color better because it's a little too dark without white. And now I'm going to continue adding blue little by little until I get to the color that I love, and then I'm going to stop. So again, I'll take a little bit more blue, I'll add it in, I'll mix it up, and if it wasn't enough, I'll continue doing the same, just a little bit more and more blue until I arrive at the color that I love. I am getting very close there. To answer your question, which shade of purple? Any shade of purple. Whichever is the most pleasant for your eye, that's the one you want to go with. This is a good color. I may want to add a bit more white here. All right, good. I mixed my purple. I'm going to empty my brush to the best of my ability. This is the purple that I have, guys. But again, use any purple that is your favorite, that looks good to you. And then right away, what I want to do is I want to color in, before I even do anything else, I'll color in our legs here, feet. Mostly really to use up the paint on my large brush so it doesn't go to waste. And now I can wash it off. And I will give you another minute to mix your purple. I know purple can be tricky color, so I'll give you another minute to do this. All right, guys. Now, I want to move on to this part right here. And I'm going to start with my large brush, well, medium large, but again, use whichever brush is the most appropriate. And I'm going to start by coloring this in with white fully. So just this little part here. Color it with white and feel free to use a generous amount of white. You don't have to use just a stingy little bit because we're gonna need to blend other colors into it too. So it's good for it to stay wet for a little bit. And then right away, I'm gonna start blending other colors before it dries. So I'm gonna show you all the colors I'm gonna blend, and then I'm gonna give you some time to do this. So as soon as you have white, I'm gonna switch my brush to a medium small brush. And I'm gonna grab a little bit of red, so just straight red, and I'm gonna blend it while this is still wet on this upper part a little. You see, I just took one little brush stroke and I haven't refilled after that. So it looks nice and light. You can add a bit of that on the bottom too if you would like. Just make sure you use as little of the red as possible because otherwise it's going to overtake all that white. So you're almost dry brushing it on. And then as soon as I have that red, I'm going to move to my purple. So I'm going to grab, again, on wet, I'm going to grab just a little bit of purple on this brush. And I'm going to start adding it closer to the edges. You see on the side there, and on the side here. All right, and that's enough purple. So do you see how nice it looks now? It's super blended. It has more than just white, because just white is a little boring. So it has more than that, and now I'm gonna let it dry up a little bit. All right, I see a thumbs up. That's good. When I see a couple more, we can move to our next step. Oh, and here they are, all the thumbs ups. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. It's okay. Then we can move to the top. So let's do this little guy right here. So again, either use a small brush or medium small, but definitely something on a smaller side. And we're going to do something very similar. So we'll start by taking just straight white. We'll color it in. Straight white. And what I'm doing here, I'm going to get closer to that little detail actually, so you can see better. So what I'm doing here is I colored in the entire thing with straight white, and now I'm going to flick. You can do this with a small brush. It probably is the easiest with a small brush, but I'm using medium, the top edge of my medium brush, and you see I'm flicking from the inside out with the white. To give it more of that fluffy shape. And then I'll take just a little bit of red again. And again, use either small or medium small brush for this. And I'll flick it in a little bit into the top. And then I'll take a little bit of purple and I'll flick it from the edge in. So again, small brush would be the easiest to do this with, but I'm going to use the top edge of a medium small and I'm going to flick it from the outside in. And here we go. We have that fluffy pom-pom section. And again, I'll give you another minute and then we'll move to another section that is similar in color, which is beard. So we'll move on to our beard in a second. All right, I see lots more thumbs ups. Awesome, guys. So if we're all ready with that, we can move on to our beard. So for our beard, I'm going to do my mustache and my beard separate. And I'm actually going to start with a beard. So I'm going to grab my medium small brush. And I'm going to start by coloring my beard in with white. Again, I'm going to color all that I can first. And then I'm going to flick from the inside out, similar to how we did on top. So like this. And again, you're welcome to use your small brush for this instead of medium brush. This is my brush of preference. Small brush is definitely easier to do it with though. The same here. And the same here. All right. And as soon as I have that, I'm going to take my purple and I'm going to start blending in my purple. Again, either small brush or medium small. I think I'm going to go with small brush here. And I'm going to start somewhere right here and I'm going to start flicking all those wonderful little lines. And if you do it on wet, you will see it will start blending into more of a light shades of purple, which is great. Exactly what we're looking for. And I'll flick some from the mustache out. You see it visually separates our mustache from our beard, and that's exactly what we're looking for. And the only other thing I want to add here on a beard with my purple is I want to add a bit of purple from the outer edge too. Not a lot though, and I don't want it as blended. So again, I'll take a little bit of purple. All right, and that's pretty much all that needs to be done on our beard. And again, I'll give you guys a minute and then we're gonna move to our mustache. To answer your question, that random question that you marked as random, no, I did not have, we did not have a different YouTube channel about Russia previously. No, must be my voice that just, someone must have similar voice, I guess. Oh, yay, lots of thumbs ups already. That's good. I'll give you guys still another minute. Can I repeat the colors for the beard? For sure. Just white and purple so far. We'll add black later, but not now. So far, just white and purple. All right, I see lots of thumbs up. So I guess we can move on to our mustache. And I'm gonna grab, again, my medium small brush. I'll do something similar. I'll start with white. I'll color in everything that I can with white. Flat first. And then I'm going to do the same thing how we did here, how we flicked it from the inside out. So I'll do the same thing on the sides of our mustache. It doesn't have to be that crazy far away flicks, just so they're not straight lines. And again, it's most comfortable to do it with a small brush, but whichever is comfortable for you, use that one. For me personally, it's the top edge of my medium brush. And once I have that, I'm going to start adding purple. So here, I'm actually going to start with my medium small brush versus just the small brush. I'll take a little bit of purple and I'll flick it from here. From the nose out. So you see I really darkened up this around the nose section. And then I can switch to my small brush and add a few with a small brush. All right, and here is first layer on our mustache as well. And again, I'll give you guys a couple minutes before we move to our next step. To answer your questions, where would you buy brushes? Well, my brushes are from all over the place. I have some from the store, some from Amazon, literally from everywhere. I would say it's not the brand that matters. Just if you're looking for acrylic brushes, they have to be somewhat firm, not too firm that you can't bend them at all. They still should be able to be bendable, do you see? But they need to be firm. Super soft brushes are usually used for watercolor. Acrylic paint require a bit stiffer brush. Again, it doesn't have to be super stiff because some brushes are you can't even bend them at all. You see, as my brushes bend really well, but they are synthetic. They're not natural. They weren't actually expensive at all. They were pretty cheap, but they work. So just look for synthetic brushes. If you buy them in a store, look for the brushes that are marked that they're for acrylic. Usually a specialized store will have a special section for acrylic brushes. But yeah, generally that's what you're looking for. So they're stiff, but just stiff enough. They're still bendable. And also you want them to definitely be synthetic. Because natural brushes are A, more expensive, B, too soft for acrylic. Yeah, thanks guys. Thanks everyone for responding to questions. I really appreciate it. Yeah, for the beard we use white and purple. You could get fur with a fan brush for sure, yeah. If you have the right size fan brush. For me personally, I wouldn't be able to. I do have fan brushes at home, but all of them are too large. They're too large for this painting. So if you have the right size, for sure. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do now, I want to move to our second layer of red. So, but I'm going to do one thing at a time now. I'm not going to add second layer on everything. I'm going to start with just the hat. So I'm going to grab my medium large brush again, just straight red. And I'll move onto my hat. I'll color it in with red, and then right away I'm going to do a couple other things on the hat as well while it's still wet, because I have to do them on wet. So let's start by just coloring it in red first. Okay, so I colored my hat red. As you can see, much better color, much more vibrant, less cheeks. Perfect, exactly what we were aiming for. Now to the same brush, not even washing it, I'm gonna add a little bit of white. And with this white, I'm gonna blend it in on the side. So do you see it turns into more of a pink color, and that's okay. And notice I'm not adding it right onto the edge. I'm adding it a little bit closer to the middle because the edge is gonna actually have different color there. So just blend in a little bit of white here, like a little highlight. Just on this one side. Interesting, rubber brushes. I've never heard of that before either. But also, to tell you the truth, I haven't been to the actual art store in a very long time. I've just been ordering everything online since the pandemic. So it's been a while for me. Yeah, probably 2 years since I actually stepped a foot in an actual art store. So yeah, maybe it's a thing. I'll look it up. I'll keep my eye out for it. I want to see what that looks like. And guys, another thing I want to do right away here while the hat is wet is I want to do my darker color. So for my darker color, I'm going to take some red on the side, and I'm going to use medium small brush for this. So I'll scoop some red on the side, and I'll take just a little bit of black and add it in. And notice it didn't turn it into a full-on black, so don't add equal parts because it will turn it into a full-on black. This is still red. It's just a very, very dark red. It may almost have like a purple or brown undertone, and that's okay. Totally fine. And with this color, hey, I'm gonna go right on the edge. So right here. And you see, it almost merges the edge into the black. It creates that transition color between a red and black. It makes that edge much, much softer. And I'll do it on both of the edges. So do you see, again, it softens it up. And I'm actually going to bring it a little bit further here too, just to show the shape a bit better. And another area where I'm going to add this color is right around this fluffy white part. So I'm going to add it like that, do you see? And then I'm going to flick it up. All right, and now we have a better hat. And I'll give you guys a second to do that, and then we're going to move to our arms. We actually gonna even add black there, but this is just, what we need right now. I want to give you guys a second first to catch up on this before we add the black. And if it doesn't look good just yet, that's okay. We're only, let's say maybe 70% through, so we still have quite a bit to go here. And usually it starts looking really good at the last 10%. So just stick with the process, continue painting, and it will get there, I promise. All right, guys, to answer your questions, would I seal it when it's done? It's completely up to you. It's best to seal it, but also if you don't, that's okay. It's not a requirement. But yeah, if you have ability to seal it, if you have a varnish or a spray varnish of some sort, yeah, go ahead. Absolutely, it's gonna look great if you do. All right, guys, and now I want to add a little bit of black. So again, for black, you can use either medium brush, medium small, medium large, something around medium. And you're just going to take a tiny, tiny dot of black. So not a lot. And you're going to dry brush it on. I'm going to dry brush it on right on the edge here again, but only on the bottom, not all the way. And a little bit on this one. Again, to blend it even more into the background. And then you can add a touch around the hat. Again, just dry brushing it on, but not all the way. I'm not going to be adding it all the way. I'll add it mostly to the side. And then, do you see? I will flick some from there up. And maybe a little bit on this side too. And you see, it makes the shape more interesting. And while we're on black, we can actually go around this thing and add a bit of black on the bottom. So do you see here on the bottom, I do similar thing with black. So again, I'll take my medium small brush. You can use just straight small brush for this. Just make sure you use a very little bit of black. And I'll add a little line around the nose. And then I'll flick some up into this. I'll go around this fluffy white part. And I'll add some black and I'll flick it into it a little bit. Just always flick from the outside in and make sure you use as little black as possible. Because if you use too much, it's going to be blobby. We don't want that. We want it to be nice and light and fluffy. Doesn't it look great? It really starts coming together, right, guys? And again, I'll give you a couple of minutes to do this before we move to our arms. And by the way, if this is your first time painting with us and you just found our channel maybe, feel free to subscribe. We do lots of YouTube lives. I would say every week we go about once to twice a week. And we have lots of mediums. We do acrylic painting, like today, for example. We do watercolor painting. We do drawing. And you can always see what is coming up as well. So if you go on our page and you go down, you'll be able to see what is scheduled for about the next month. So feel free to subscribe. That way it will notify you when we go live. And we do have a lot of tutorials that we've already hosted here over the last year to year and a half. So feel free to take a look there. We have lots of beautiful winter theme paintings. We actually have paintings for every season, but we do have lots of beautiful winter theme paintings. So yeah, take a look. To answer your question, did I make this up? Well, if you are asking whether I created this painting, sorry, this one, the original, then yes, I did make this up. All right, guys, now I'm gonna move to my arms and legs, and I'm gonna take straight red on my small brush, sorry, medium small brush, and I'm gonna color them in second layer. And again, you will notice the color gets better and it gets brighter and it gets less streaky. And then similarly to what we did on our hat, we're going to take just a little bit of white, just a touch, on the same brush, not even washing it, and we'll blend just a little touch somewhere there, not on the very edge, but closer to it, and right here. And then I'm going to take that black mixed with red, and I'll blend that from the top of our arms and from the bottom. So from here and from here. The same on the other side from the top and from the bottom. And on the legs, just from the back. So from the back of that corner in. Wonderful. Yay, I'm so glad. I am so, so glad. Again, I'll give you guys a second, and then we're going to move to our beard, and we're going to add black on our beard. For art supplies, you guys are welcome to use anything that you want. The only thing we usually advise against is dollar store paint. And the reason why is there's nothing wrong with it necessarily. If that's all that's available to you, use it. The reason why we advise against it, if there are any other options, is because it doesn't mix well. We always start with primary colors, right, as you noticed, and we mix them into different shades. Dollar store paint doesn't mix. So if you decide to use that one, you will need to buy every single pre-mixed color that you're planning to use. But generally, we buy our paint in Curry's. It's a store in Canada, if you're familiar with it. If not, that's where we buy it. It's called Starred Acrylics. That's what we use most of the time. However, we do use other brands too, whatever is available to us. Michaels carries a lot of brands that you could use. Artist Loft is, I know, widely available because Michaels is, I guess, more convenient store for many people to buy supplies. So if you come across Michaels and there's Artist Loft, you're welcome to use that one too. But really, any paint that is student grade acrylic, so it's not too thick, because professional acrylic, it's a little harder to work with because it's a little bit thicker. So if you can find student grade acrylic, that's best. But also, if you go to our store, I would say ask someone who works there what paint mixes well. Because certain paints are made to be used pre-mixed, and there's nothing wrong with them. A lot of them are actually quite expensive paints that made to be used pre-mixed. But the problem is you will need to spend a lot of money to buy every single color for every single painting you're planning to use. That's why we suggest just primary colors. So ask people who work there to see which one of their paints is not too thick, not too liquid, good for beginner, but also mix as well. That's the most important thing. All right, guys, let's move to our beard. And you can use small brush or medium brush, whichever you prefer here. I'm going to start with a medium brush, medium small, and then I'm going to move to small. And I'm going to start around the nose again. So I'm going to add some right here, and then a couple flicks from this nose out. And you almost dry brush in this black, so use as little black as possible so it doesn't get too blobby. And after that, I'm going to switch to a small brush. So I'll wash this one off, put it aside, and I'm going to grab my little guy here. And you can start with a beard. I'm going to start with a beard, and I'm going to add flicks. So I'm not adding a full-on outline as if I was going with a Sharpie. I'm going to add a flick here, flick there. That kind of accentuates everything that I need, but also add a bit more shadow to separate our beard and make it look more contrast to our jacket and our shoes. And I'm flicking this black from the outside in as well. And then I'll go around our mustache as well. And just add a little flick here and there. And then if you want to flick just a couple little flicks throughout the beard or mustache, you can. You don't have to, but you can. So for me personally, I want to add a few maybe on the bottom here. All right, that is enough. No more. And again, I'll give you guys a minute, and then we'll move to our next step. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys learning. That's important. And after this, I want to move to our nose. So for the nose, I'm going to use two different colors at first. So I'm going to start by making this peachy kind of color. So I'm going to use my medium small brush. I'm going to scoop some white on the side. And then to that white, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow and a little bit of red. And I'll make this nice peachy pinky kind of color. And with this color, I'm going to color in the entire nose. And then right away, I'm going to take more red and add it to the same color to make much pinker color. And with this color, I'm going to go around, but majority of it, I'm going to add some more right here. I'll blend that a little, maybe even with my finger. I'll give you guys a couple more minutes for this. All right, we're getting to some fun parts here. So guys, what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna grab my medium small brush and I'll take a little bit of my purple and I'll add some white to it and I'll make a lighter shade of purple. And with this lighter shade of purple, I'm gonna add a little flicks to this outer side of foot here and on this side too. So something like that. And then I'm gonna take straight white and I'll add a flick here, a couple flicks here, straight white. And with the same straight white, I'm gonna continue flicking white going up. So I'm gonna add a flick here, flick on our nose, flick on this arm, and a flick on a hat. And I'll do those on both sides actually, not as strong on the other side, very, very lightly. And maybe even a little bit of white on this hat part. I feel like I lost some white there, so If you feel like you're missing white anywhere, you can add it. Like for example, if on a beard you feel like you lost some white, you can add it there too. But really not necessary unless you feel like it has been lost and you need to add it. Other than that, don't add it. I'm using my only medium square brush. I don't have round brushes. Well, I do have round brushes. I don't have round brushes right now for using for this particular painting. I chose to use square brushes, so no, I'm using square brush. But you can definitely use a small round brush. So this is the pointy detailed one. Absolutely. You can use that one. It's just your flicks are going to be slightly smaller. For me, I personally prefer the look of them being a little chunkier. So that's why I'm using my medium small square brush. So do you see our gnome himself is almost done. There's only one other color that we're going to add on the actual gnome. And then we're going to move on to background and we're going to work on our background. And the last color I want to show you right away that I want to do on the actual gnome. It's going to be purple. So whichever purple, lighter purple, darker purple, any purple. And I'm going to add just a touch of it and you're going to dry brush it on. And I'm going to dry brush it on around my head here. And you see, it's not very visible because I'm using my dark purple, but it just gives us this wonderful tone of purple. You see? And I may add it a little more even on around the edge here and the edge here. I'm not going to go all the way in the middle. I'm going to touch as an outline almost on the arms. And that is it. Now our gnome is done. So I'll give you guys a couple more minutes and then we're going to move to background and we'll finalize our background. And there's a lot to do there. So we'll start by adding those purple circles, then we're going to add white circles, then we're going to add large snowflakes, then we're going to add small snowflakes, and then we're going to splatter, and that would be the end of it. All right, I see some thumbs ups coming in. That's awesome, guys. And yes, if you're just joining us now, yeah, feel free to subscribe. We do live events once or twice a week here on YouTube. We also have some live events that we do on Facebook, not that often anymore, but we do them every now and then. And if you guys are interested in Zoom events, we have them every day. And I can put our website into chat here, only for those who are interested, because Zoom actually allows you ability to show your painting in a live format. Basically, you'll be able to show your painting to us and get a live feedback based on your situation and how it's turning out for you. So I'm going to include that here in chat. To answer your question, how many videos and paintings have we done before this class? Thousands, definitely thousands. Vicky, we do have quite a few artists on our team, but we are all very professional artists. So yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're enjoying this tutorial. Yeah, we have different artists based on what we do best. We have watercolor artists, we have acrylic artists, we have drawing artists, we have oiled instructors. We have a macrame instructor, so we have all kinds of instructors. All right, guys, so I'm gonna move to my background here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with this purple. I'm gonna go with my dark purple. You're welcome to use lighter purple. I'd say any purple, whichever purple you prefer is good. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start adding those circles. I'm gonna cover the entire black background with lots of those circles. And just make sure they're different sizes. You wanna have some bigger, some smaller. Other than that, you'll call how many or where you're gonna position them. And how I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna start with a dot, and then I'm gonna take my finger and I'll smudge it towards the outside. So do you see it creates this rounded, quite transparent towards the outside. So again, I'm adding it, right? I'm adding it. And then when I start smudging, I don't start from the middle, I start from the outside. So I just smudge it around the outside. So it has more of a transparent edge. And some you can just dab up if you want some smaller ones. You can just put a dot and dab it up. So here are a couple on this side. Let's add a couple on this side as well. All right, and that's my purple. And again, I'll give you guys a couple more minutes for this. And they also have to dry up a little bit before we move to white. They don't have to be fully dry, but they have to be a bit drier than super wet. And then we're going to move to our white ones. Oh, thank you so much, Deborah. That's so nice of you. I'm glad, Vicky. I'm really glad. Thank you. To answer your question, we don't have currently pottery artists. So if you know anyone, refer them our way. We would love to add a pottery artist to our team. We don't have that yet. And guys, by the way, after you're done, we would love to see your results. So if you want to share them, we absolutely would love to see how they turn out. And I'm gonna post a link here to a Facebook event page for this particular painting. So you can post your results there, because we do love, love, love seeing what they all turn out. And that way you can see what other people's turn out as well. Because there's so many of us painting from all over the world. So it's pretty cool to see them all in one place. So here's a Facebook link. Where you can post your results. Right now, you wouldn't be able to do that because we disabled posting there, just because sometimes people post random stuff such as spam and it's not relevant to the event. But we will make a post specifically asking you to post your paintings in comments. That way we know that everything is going to be all in one place. And yes, we'll encourage you to please post your results on event page in comments there to the post that we're about to make as soon as we're finished here. All right, guys, I'm going to move to my circles in white. So it's a similar thing. You just add a bit of white and you create a circle. And you add as many of them as you want. Some big, some smaller. All right, and now I'm gonna add my snowflakes. So notice I have some bigger snowflakes and I have some smaller snowflakes. So you always want to position bigger snowflakes first. So here's a structure for a bigger snowflake. I'm going to start with white. I'll take some white and then I'm going to flick. I'll put a dot. From that dot, I'm going to flick up and flick down. Then I'm going to flick left and I'll flick right. And then I'll add one little flick in between. So in between each, I'll add another flick, all from the same dot. So that's a base for our large snowflake. Now you can decorate. And the way you want to be decorating is you're going to be adding the same element to either every single line or every second line. So do you see, for example, this snowflake? It has this repetitive 2 lines element on every second, right, line, and this repetitive 2 dot element on every second line, and repetitive element on top on every second line. This snowflake has repetitive dot element and repetitive flick element on every line. So either is fine. You can either do every second line or every line. Just continue adding the repetitive element of your choice. So for example, here I'm going to add a dot on every single end. That would be my repetitive element number 1. And then I'll add a flick from the outside in between every single line. And that's my repetitive element number 2. Let's add another snowflake somewhere right here, and I'll show you a different way. So again, I'll put a dot in the middle, and I'll flick up, flick down, flick left, and flick right, and then flick in between. And then I'm going to add repetitive element, such as 2 lines on every second line. So for example, here, 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 and here. Then the repetitive element number 2, 2 dots on every second line as well. Dots, dots, dots. And now I'm going to add something else, another repetitive element, let's say like a little heart on every second line again. And so on. So you can create your own combinations, whatever that may look like. You position your snowflakes anywhere you want. You can have as many of them as you want as well, some bigger, some smaller, but always position the bigger ones first. So I positioned 3 bigger ones this time. I think that's enough. I don't really want any more. And now I'm going to add some smaller ones. So smaller ones, I do pretty much the same. I just start with a dot and I flick to different directions. You can position them again anywhere you want, as many as you want. Some bigger, some smaller. Variety is good. All right, and now as you can see, we have lots of snowflakes as well. Yes, I'm glad you guys enjoying this. That's good. And the last 2 things I'm going to do is, one, I'm going to splatter. So for splattering, you want to use the biggest brush that you have, and you want to water down your white a little bit. Oops. And then you want to fill your brush fully. So do you see, I'm not just taking it on the tip of my brush. I am filling the entire brush, so all this watered down paint gets in the bristles of my brush. And then I'm going to grab smaller brush with a clean brush, so no paint. And I'm going to hold this one in one hand, and I'm going to bang this one over it. And do this close to your painting, because otherwise you're going to end up with all this splatter over your face and none of your painting. So you have to do this close to your actual painting. That way you will end up with none on your face, or a little bit on your face, but majority of it will actually go onto your painting. So we'll splatter a little bit this way. And then the last thing we're going to do is dots. And dots, I personally prefer to do with a rounded end, not painting end of my small brush. Or any brush for that matter. It doesn't have to be a small brush. Whichever of your brushes has a rounded end, not like a chopped off end. That's the brush you want to dip in white. And you want to add a couple dots manually. So just dot it up anywhere you want. Can be many dots, can be few dots. Completely up to you. Don't avoid your snowman either. Not snowman. No, I don't know why I call him snowman. Must be losing it. So don't avoid your gnome either. Go right over him because this is a flying snow, so it would make sense for it to be all over everything. Again, you can just do a couple and you can do lots. And then the last thing that you're going to need is just to sign it. And that's it. You can put your initials or your actual signature, anything that you guys prefer. And it's officially done. And they look pretty awesome. Both of those guys, they're like little twins. Little twinsies. Now again, guys, if you enjoyed this tutorial, feel free to subscribe. We do a lot of those, and we already have lots pre-recorded that we taught earlier, so feel free to check them out. In a second, I will answer all the questions that you may have, so if you do have questions, please write them in chat here so I can see them, and I'll be happy to answer all of them for you. So, and guys, if you enjoyed this tutorial and you had fun and you want to say thank you by tipping me, I would never say no to that. You're welcome to do it. And I will post a link that you can use. It's a PayPal. So feel free to use that. Again, it's not an obligation, but artists always love that. And again, it's just a nice way to say thank you. All right, I posted my tip link for those who are interested. And ask away if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer all of them for you. Feel free to post your results too. Would love to see them. Just go to our Facebook page, Artist Palette Durham Region, and you will see an event. Go under events category, and you will see an event created specifically for this painting for today. I will make a post there as soon as we're done, asking you to post all your paintings and comments. That way we have all of them in one place that you can easily locate. And that way you can yourself go there and see how other people's turned out as well. Because it's pretty cool to be able to do this tutorial from all corners of the world and then see all the paintings in one place. Or at least I find that it's super cool. Awesome. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Yeah, to answer your question, there are many ways to do this painting. Technically, you could start in any other place. The reason why I teach it this particular way is because this makes the most sense with the dry times. So if, let's say, you have all the time in the world and you're not in rush and we're not, let's say, live, and you want to do a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, so the dry times don't affect you, you can totally start in a different place and work your way from backwards or however you want on this painting. This is just most efficient with time because it really reflects all the dry times. Awesome, you're very welcome. All right, guys, I don't see any more questions. So thank you all for joining me. I sure had lots of fun painting with you, and I hope you did too, and I hope I'll get to see some of your artworks. Bye, guys. Enjoy your night.